All right, Sunday morning, we have two questions spanning a few weeks. The first question comes from I think it's the last Sunday in December. I gave a quote. The Jesus quote is what the person asked me about. And what I think that's a reference to, the Jesus quote or the quote about Jesus today, was a reference to James Stewart, the Scottish divine, the Scottish theologian, who wrote about the mystery of divine incarnation. That in Jesus, you get such a wide contrast of personality that only God incarnate could explain it. The answer is it comes from James Stewart, a Scottish theologian, and I posted it on Matthew Road Facebook page. So if you want to go read the entire quote, you can get it there. It comes from James Stewart. If you have other questions about that quote, you can ask me. But I originally heard it in a sermon by Ravi Zacharias on Jesus Among Other Gods, a 5-part series. You can go listen to those sermons at rzim.org. rzim.org. Ravi Zacharias International Ministries.org is the place, RZIM. And he has several really good sermons and several great quotes from people like this, Malcolm Muggeridge, James Stewart, C.S. Lewis. He's a great at pulling in those individuals. His PhD is from, I think, Oxford in literature, and so because of that, Ravi draws from these great literary references, and so I highly recommend that. If you had to listen to a sermon this week, I would draw you to Ravi's page, probably first. Certainly before anything on mine. But anyway, so yeah, Ravi, I would probably send you there first, and then after that, probably to Alistair Begg and John Piper and R.C. Sproul and those kinds of people. But Alistair Begg is good. Those guys are really great. But really, my favorite is, if you're going to listen to just one message, Ravi Zacharias, just incredible mind, and he's the one where I first heard the quote by James Stewart, the Scottish divine, and so the Scottish theologian. So I encourage you to go there. The second question was, what is the difference of the word of his power or the power of his word? Okay, so it's a genitive in the Greek. So the of is, anytime you have an of this or of that, it's usually a genitive in the Greek, which means it's explaining. So it says the word of his power. What I think was going on there is that he upholds everything by his word. And what kind of word is it? It's a powerful word. I think that's where the writer is emphasizing there. As opposed to the power of his word, you'd say, what kind of power is it? It's a power that comes from his spoken word. So the emphasis here is on the spoken word, that Christ sustains the universe through the spoken word. And the writer wants us to know, this is probably some kind of adjectival genitive or something like that, where it's an adjective describing the type of word that he's speaking. What type of word does he speak that sustains the universe? It's a powerful one. And so the word of his power, my suspicion is that there's some translations that say his powerful word. So it's functioning probably as an adjectival use. And I think that's what's going on there. The emphasis is that he sustains it through speaking or through his spoken word. He's a God of revelation. So that's why we do that. That's why we read that. That's what we're talking about there. And it also goes all the way back to the creation of the beginning, where he says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And God said, let there be light. And now you have in Hebrews chapter 1, he's the creator. Through him, he's created all things. And he upholds all things by the word of his power. So it's a spoken sustaining of the creation, the same way it was spoken into being. It's sustained through the spoken word. And then the writer includes this one little adjectival statement about it, which says it's a powerful word. It's not any word. It's not like a word we speak. It's a word that comes with the divine power of God himself. And so I think that's what's going on there. And that's why it sounds a little strange, but the emphasis is that it's a spoken sustaining of creation, not that it's a powerful sustaining of creation. The emphasis is that it's spoken. And then he says, what kind of spoken word? A powerful one. So I think that's what's going on there, and that's the difference between those two. It's a matter of emphasis between the two. All right, I hope that answered your questions. We'll see you guys this week.